There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment, and here we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a, I'm not sure if she is by something or other, because she goes by two different names. She writes under two different names. And Liz Mugavero is our guest, and she is an author. She is a podcaster. She's got over 100 episodes up, which is really cool. And she also is she teaches people who said to themselves at one point in time, I can write. I want to be a writer. And then they sit down and they start writing and they go, I guess I'm not as good as I hope because I can't figure this out to save my life. And she helps people figure out how to write and how to be effective. She's an award winner. She's got a bunch of different books under both names, one under Liz and the other one is Cate Conte. And welcome to the show, young lady. It's so nice to have you back.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
It is so great to see you again. Now, we can concentrate today on your writing under Liz, you're writing under Cate, you're helping people learn how to write, your podcast. Well, so there's so much to talk about. Where do you want to begin?
There's a lot to talk about. We can start with Cate. Cate has a new book out just last week. So
yay, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, the 9th Cat Cafe book. It's called Claws Out. Came out last week.
Oh, very good. And that is of course, on Amazon and everywhere else, because you've got a whole section on Amazon donated to your works.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Cate has, so there's 9 books in the Cat Cafe series. There's 3 books in the Full Moon series, which is also by Cate Conte. And then under Liz, I have the Pawsitively Organic Mysteries, which has 7 books.
So I have to ask you, do you use, when you are either Liz or you are Cate, are they different writing styles? Do you have the same writing style, or how do you differentiate between the two?
Yeah, so for under both names right now, I'm writing cozies, so they're same style. So yeah, cozies are pretty much. I think people could tell that they're by me. I don't think it's a secret. All of my protagonists love cats. They all love coffee. So that kind of gives it away. But the way I write is kind of, in this genre is pretty similar. So people, I think know what they're going to get from me.
Describe what you mean by a cozy.
Sure. So the mystery genre has like a lot of subgenres, which I've had a lot of conversations about on my podcast with people because it's something that, comes up a lot when we're trying to talk about like agents and publishers and how they sell your books. But mystery has a lot of genres. Cozy is one of the subgenres under mystery, and it's really about amateur sleuths. They're usually in a small town or in a subset of a larger town. So, like think the coffee shop at Friends, if you're not in a little tiny town. And they have this habit of just stumbling over dead bodies. But
it just magically happens that there's a dead body somewhere in the room.
Yeah, and they usually have a reason to get involved, or at least they think they have a good reason to get involved in solving the crime. There's not a lot of blood and gore on the page, so you see there's lots of often more than one more than one death in the book, but you're not seeing a lot of gore and blood and all of that. And then the biggest thing about cozies is the endings are usually justice is served, so people like that. Especially
Indeed.
today.
Indeed. We got to get the bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
And is it kind of like a Nancy Drew Mysteries kind of thing? Would that be comparable?
Maybe. I mean, yes, it's, I certainly started out reading Nancy Drew. So yeah, I think you could call it that too.
So you must have woken up out of the womb and said, I think when I grow up, I'm going to be a writer.
I kind of did. I was one of those really nerdy kids that loved just reading books all the time. Like my mother read to me a lot when I was little. It was my favorite thing to do. And then as soon as I could read on my own, that's all I ever wanted to do. And then, I had a lot of books in my house. So my parents were both big readers. And so I would take their books and I would go sit at my mother's old typewriter and type out chapters to see what it felt like. I always loved books and I knew I wanted to be a writer.
Well, and you become a very good writer. By the way, if you want to go follow along with us, you can go to cateconte.com and you can look at all of her information, both writing styles from Liz and from Cate, and also the latest publications and the awards that she's won. And there's a link to the podcast. By the way, I got to ask you, how do you like doing a podcast?
I love podcasting. It's definitely so I'm a former journalist, so I love to ask people questions, and I love to have conversations with writers, and that's who I spend a lot of time with on my podcast. So it's really fun for me.
Is there such a thing as a former journalist?
No, we're always a journalist.
See, that's I gotcha.
It's like a it's inbred. I think I had I was lucky enough to get to talk to Neil Brown from the Poynter Institute on my podcast, like, I don't know, a few months ago. And I was saying how, I used to be a journalist and he said, you do know this podcast is an act of journalism, right? I was like, oh yeah.
Once you're a journalist, you will always be a journalist.
Exactly.
And the premise of the podcast is you talk to writers and people that are in the profession, or do you also educate people on how if they want to be a writer but haven't gotten that figured out yet, on how you can help them do that?
Yeah, I cover the whole spectrum. So a lot of what I do when I have a class for writers and I have a membership for writers, and a lot of the people that I work with there are new to writing, or at least new to writing mystery. And so a lot of people also have come to the podcast as readers of my books, and they like to hear behind the scenes of, a writer's life. So I cover a lot of things. There is some craft, there's some talk of about craft with other writers, but also there's the writer's journey, what it's really like. We talk about publishing a lot. We talk about mindset and the things that hold people back from actually getting their books done. So I cover it all.
When you are a writer like you are, I think there's a common perception that you are holed up in your room and you're by yourself and you're writing all the time and you've got all these ideas. Is that even close to the truth?
No, I kind of wish it was, but it's not. Sadly, no.
You've got all kinds of other things that you are, because you also, now, are you self-published or do you have a publisher of sorts?
I have a publisher. Yeah.
And as I understand it, and I've come to know a little bit, and educate me here, but there are all kinds of different publishers. Some are very active, and they're active in your marketing and all that. Others say, "Oh no, we'll just publish a book, and then you're on your own."
Yeah, so my current series, the Cat Cafe series, is published by St. Martin's, and I feel so lucky to be part of the St. Martin's family. They do put a lot of effort into marketing, and every author is, really responsible also to help market their own work. So, unless you're like a really, really, really big name, you're not getting like billboards in Times Square or anything like that. So they will help you and they will do things to market you, but you also have to take that responsibility on yourself.
Well, you just saying, you're kind of becoming that big name, aren't you?
Well, from your lips, right? I am waiting for that billboard in Times Square.
Well, I actually can get you that billboard.
Oh yeah?
Yes, ma'am. I work with Brushwood Media Network, and they have billboards all over the country.
Cool. I thought you were going
We
to say just being on this podcast was going to be enough to, propel me to stardom so I can get a billboard in Times Square.
From your mouth to God's ears. That's the thing. The thing is, we put out the best material that we can and find the best guests that we can, and then we let the universe to do its work, and
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for any of that part.
Yep, I hear you.
And when you talk to people that want to be writers, do you explain to them, I'm sure you do, how difficult a process it can be and how resilient you must be to do it and to keep doing it? Because some people, I think, believe that I'm going to write my War and Peace, and then I'm going to submit it to a publisher, and they're going to love it, and then they're going to give me $1 million, like I don't know, Michelle Obama or somebody like that, and then they're going to do all the work, and I'm going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
I wish it did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stages to the writer's journey, and there's so many in all of those stages, it requires a certain level of resilience, right? So even just writing that first book, it takes a lot of resilience to get through, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want to write a book, and that's great. And then some of them will actually start them, and that's also amazing. And then a lot of them won't finish, right? Because when you get to, you get past the really cool idea and you write a few chapters, and then you're like, I don't know what to do next. So you got to keep with it. You got to, figure out where to go to find the information that you need to actually complete the work. And then you have to edit it, right? It's not just a one and done. So you have to spend 2, 3, 4, who knows how many passes going through and making it shine. That takes resilience. And then if you want to be traditionally published, that's a whole other level of, resilience that you need, because looking for agents or looking for publishers, if you're, going with a smaller press, there's a lot of rejection involved. And it's really all about perseverance.
And absolutely. Well, isn't that the truth, that everything at the end of the day is about perseverance?
Yes. Yep. Somebody, I forget who said it, but you must know the quote, but there is someone who said the writers who actually make it are not the most talented ones. They're the ones who have kept going, right?
Well, yeah. And by the way, before we continue, I do need to mention this. Samuel, guess where you're being heard right now?
Me?
Oh, come on. Go ahead and guess.
I don't know. Oh.
Samuel from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya.
Amazing.
And he's got a group that he works with, and their primary focus is to feed children.
Oh, that's amazing.
I can't think of
Oh.
anything that being of service to people, but then feeding kids on a regular basis that are hungry. And we had some pictures of him with his group of little ones, and they all look healthy and happy and stuff. So I want to shout out to him. He loves our show, so he's here a lot. And
thank you so much for what you do, Samuel.
yes, indeed. It is remarkable. And that's, I have found, Liz, that the longer that I've been doing this, the more I'm becoming to realize that even though and you being a journalist and all, the hate, division, and fear gets a lot of publicity and a lot of headlines, but there are lots of people out there trying to do really good work.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And we don't spend enough time honoring them. So thank you for doing that.
Exactly. Because I think most people are interested in doing wonderful things with their lives and to be of service to others. And I just love what you're doing with helping people figure out how to grab their own voice and use it and to become a writer, because everybody has something to say. True?
Absolutely. And it's so important because I don't know if it's still happening now, but when I was growing up, I think creative people were told a lot by adults that it wasn't a realistic dream to have or goal to pursue. And so I think a lot of us either squash that hope or put it aside. And, people really are feeling called to come back to it. And that's really where I like to jump in and help them do that.
That makes you a very special person, because what you're doing is you're helping people live their purpose and their passion. And you're absolutely right. And it still is going on today. So many people, and people who say, I'm your father and I know better because you need to get a real job. And this writing thing, okay, it can be a nice hobby, but you're never going to make a dollar from it and stuff. And it can be very discouraging to somebody who is looking for affirmations and looking for positivity, to have family members and folks say, no, you can't do that. You're not going to make any money.
Exactly. Yeah. My parent, my father didn't mean anything by it, but we had that conversation when I told him I was going to major in English in college and then go on to, focus on writing. He was like, oh, that's nice, but you should be a teacher, right? That's what you're going to use that for. I was like, no. But, and even though I still went ahead and pursued what I wanted to pursue, it stayed in my head and it played a tape in there for a long time.
And it does. And sometimes it lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
And and I know that they mean well. I'm just trying to prevent you from the hard life and the troubles that you're going to have and stuff. But what they don't realize is there's something in your soul that it's designed for what you want to do, and that's where your passion comes from. And when we come back, I want to talk more about that, because we're talking with Liz Mugavero. I knew I'd do it. I just did. Mugavero, and we're going to talk more about that. But one of the things that we're doing, Liz, is we're creating something that we called Points to Ponder, or small shorts that have got some really cool ideas behind them. Here's one of them. We'll be right back. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. Some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Rochelle's off today, and Liz is with us, and you can go to our website, and this is going to make no sense at all if you just tuned in. Go to Liz's website, which is cateconte.com, and of course, she's also Cate Conte, and so she is a writer of note. I got to ask you, first of all, what did you think of our little short there?
I love it. I love what you said about leadership. In my old-ish life, I was a leader in the corporate world, and I always took that as such a serious thing to be, right. And I wanted to go in there every day and be someone that my team could come to for just as a buffer against all the things that I knew they were going to encounter during the day, and to back them up and to just help them grow. And that was one of my favorite roles.
That is what a leader does. Now, there are tons of people that are in a leadership position, and they shine their name badge or the name on their door as if they are suddenly elevated above the rank and file. But without the rank and file, there ain't no leader, I'm afraid to say. And now, I'm not an English major, so that I can say ain't no.
That's okay. I'll let it go.
You're not one of those that corrects people's English underneath your breath when they're talking, are you?
I don't correct people's English when they're speaking, but this is a guilty pleasure that I have. And I have a couple of friends that we have a group text thread going, and we send each other pictures of all the grammar mistakes that we see out in the wild. So when people use apostrophes the wrong way or using words the wrong way on signs, we love to capture that and, point that out to each other.
It's not say I'm smarter than they are. It's just kind of a fun little thing.
Yeah.
I would
It's
imagine.
like, who proofread this?
Well, somebody who obviously didn't take English in college. And there are so many, and there's so much out there now. I wanted to talk to you because you're a podcaster and you are a creative person and you are a content creator in all of your forms. How do you break through the noise? Do you have a magic secret on how you do it? Because there's so much noise out there.
I never know if I'm breaking through the noise or not. So I can't really tell you if I have a magic secret. I've had a love-hate relationship with social media for a while. And really now what I'm just focused on is being authentic and, pushing myself to show up even when I'm like, oh, I don't feel like being on social media today. But being authentic about what I'm posting. I don't know if you can hear my dogs, but I apologize. They're very loud.
Oh no, we love dogs around here. What kind of dogs are they?
They're both rescues and they're both mixes. One of them's a cattle dog poodle and the other's a lab husky schnauzer.
I'm trying to figure out what a poodle border collie mix would look like.
Poodle cattle dog. Yeah, she looks kind of like, when I adopted her, they were calling her a schnoodle. She looks kind of schnoodleish because I had a schnoodle before. And then after a while, I was like, I don't know, there's something not so schnoodly about her. So I got her DNA done. And yeah, cattle dog. She's very smart. She's very fresh. And she's got a lot of energy.
Cattle dogs can run for days.
Yeah. And she's so cute. She's got, the poodle hair. And yeah, she's very cute. But she's a little devil underneath it all.
And well, that's the thing. She knows. She's smart enough to know how cute she is.
Oh, yeah. They both do.
And she can get away with anything.
Yep.
That is so cool. So when we are talking about networking and multimedia and podcasting and all of that, it's really hard to break through the noise, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
And it drives me crazy because you've heard, of course, of podcast fade, right?
Podcast what?
Fade.
No, I don't think I have.
It's actually a podcasting term, and
Really?
and the term goes, I think I'm going to do a podcast because I'm going to be the next Joe Rogan.
Oh.
And somebody's going to pay me $100 million to give them my podcast because I'm just that good. So they begin, and they get their mom listens, and maybe a friend and stuff, and they don't catch fire like you would hope that they would. And so they do 10 episodes, and they go, "Gosh, this is hard." Editing all the episodes, coming up with topics, coming up with guests, trying to make it work and stuff. And they do a couple more, and then eventually they just fade away.
But I didn't know that's what it was called. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they call it podcast fade, because so many people get into it and then they recognize, oh, this is really an art form. This really is not as easy as some folks that I've watched make it seem.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult for them. So, but you have got, because you're an author and you've got resilience, which, by the way, that's part of grit, which is gratitude, resilience, integrity, and toughness. And you have all of that. And that's why you are successful both as a writer and as a coach of other writers and also a podcaster. Would you agree with that statement, young lady?
I would actually. Thank you. Yeah, I would. I don't give up easily. So, it took me 10 years to get my first book published once I started writing seriously. And I like to say that after 10 years of trying, it happened overnight. But I don't like to give up. And I don't like to, I'm actually focusing on my podcast right now to try to, figure out the best growth strategy for it. Because I've been kind of at the same level for a little bit, and I'm like, I can do more with this. So we're gonna carve out some time, and we're gonna focus on that.
Well, and I have a team, and we can help with that as well.
Cool.
So we can talk about that offline. But
Okay.
it's you have to have resilience. You have to have I will not quit in your DNA. Because a lot of people, they say, I'm going to go do this, and then they find out that it's not as easy as they thought, and so they podcast fade. But writers do the same thing, don't they?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's like the stat is like less than 1% of people who decide they want to write a book actually finish it. And those are the ones who started at all. So,
Less than 1%.
yeah.
Well, and then when you couple that with the statistics that a new writer can expect to sell maybe 200 copies.
Yeah.
That's another statistic that I heard. Is that accurate? Do you have any idea whether that's true?
I don't know. I haven't heard that statistic. It is tough though. There's so many books today, and there's so many different ways to publish today that, the industry's in kind of an evolution right now, I would say. Publishers are definitely the big publishers are looking at how they're acquiring books and what they're looking for, and there's a lot of independently published authors that are seeing a lot of success, and so some of the publishing houses are looking at them and seeing how they can try to bring those guys on board, and maybe work with them in a traditional way after seeing them have success as self-published. So there's just a lot going on in the industry right now, and I think everyone's trying to figure out like how this is all going to shake out.
What's really sad is that creative people, be you a musician or a poet or an author or heck, even a podcaster, it is really hard right now because the number of people that want to be content creators, and some are good and some need more work
Yeah.
and stuff. But because of how difficult it is, the writers, I feel, and musicians, I know this for a fact, are being taken advantage of. Because they're working so hard to put out this creative piece, and then they get pennies from it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tale as old as time though, right? People have always, or often, I shouldn't say always, people have often expected, I can't speak about the other industries, I'm not sure, but I know as far as writing goes, people want writers to write for free a lot.
Oh, I know, and this I do know about musicians. I had a one of the guests that came on. He said, "Well, I got 100,000 downloads on Spotify," and I said, "Well, that's impressive."
Mm.
And he says, "Yeah, and I got a check too. That's even more impressive." And he said, "Yeah, it was $40."
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was like
That math doesn't math.
it doesn't add up, because if you have, and he ended up having like a million seller, and it used to be back in the day that if you were what they used to call a one-hit wonder,
Mhm.
and you had one song that made it to the top 10, you could live off that for the rest of your life. That doesn't
Mm.
exist anymore.
Yeah.
And the authors, I'm sure is the same way. Is that true?
I mean, if you're a really big name and you've had a lot of success, and your success keeps going, then yes, you can live a really good life as an author. I mean, look at Harlan Coben with his. I mean, his books are amazing. He's got Netflix deals and all kinds of things. So he's kind of the gold standard, I would say. But like, yeah, the average writer, it's going to take a long time to get there for most people, unless if you even get there.
Well, and we need to take our halftime break. And when we come back, I want to ask you, how near and dear are you to the books that you have written? Because if you ever did a screenplay, and then you lose control of what was actually written. We're talking with Liz Mugavero. Say your last name so I don't screw it up some more.
Mugavero. It was a good
Mugavero.
yeah.
I hear better than I read. And I'm sure that you know people that are like that.
Absolutely. And it's you're probably wishing I had just said just go with Cate Conte. That's a lot easier, which is actually why I never actually intended to publish under my real name.
Well, I'm glad you did. It's eye catching. People spend some time looking. How do you pronounce that and stuff? So we're talking with Cate Conte, and we'll be right back after our halftime break. Stay with us, everybody.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
The Fire That Doesn't Die by Positive Talk Radio. Success never shows up overnight. It tests you. It breaks you. It asks, how much do you want it and how badly do you believe? Amazon answered that question for 9 long years with no profits, only vision. At Positive Talk Radio, our fight began in 2003. Self-funded, no spotlight, no guarantees, only faith that hope and love can change lives. For over 2 decades now, we've kept showing up, keep speaking light into the darkness. And now, hey, we're still here, stronger, louder, inspiring hearts across the world. Because true greatness isn't measured by how fast you rise, but by how long you refuse to fall. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Rochelle's off today. And Cate Conte is with us. That's the other name. That's the name I can pronounce and really well. And the other one and Liz. And she is, by the way, an overnight success. Unlike that commercial where it says that you have to really work at it for a long time. She only was working to get a book published for 10 years. I got to ask you, what was it like?
Yeah.
When you got that letter of acceptance? Was there a really nice dinner and a bottle of wine involved after that?
So it's really interesting how I ended up getting published. So I write mysteries, and the first thing that made sense to me to do when I decided that I was going to write mysteries was to find a mystery writing community and a mystery writing conference. And so
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I did some research. I ended up finding a conference that was right in my backyard, and I started going to the conference and just meeting people and soaking it all up and, learning how to pitch and all the things. So I did all this for 10 years. And in those 10 years, I ended up joining Sisters in Crime, which is an international membership of writers, and a couple of other organizations. But Sisters in Crime also had different groups based on your location. And so I had joined the New England chapter of Sisters in Crime as well. And there was an agent. So this was in like 2011. So cozy mysteries were kind of seeing a resurgence, and suddenly everyone wanted to publish them. So an agent had reached out to the president at the time of Sisters in Crime New England and asked about writers that might want to partner with him on proposals. And so she sent it out to the whole membership, and I was like, well, I've never really thought about cozies, but why not? Let me check it out. And I ended up talking to this agent, and we came up with an idea. And like 2 months later, I got a contract off a proposal. And so, like I said, it was kind of like overnight after all this time. So I don't even remember what I did to celebrate that, but I was just like, oh my God, I have to write a book now in like 9 months.
So it became a labor of love that turned into labor.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, I had 3 chapters and I had like an outline, but that was it. So I was like, all right, let's get this book written. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a great story. That's a great story. But I would submit that you spent 10 years learning your craft and developing it and developing good contacts and people that you could bounce things off of and that kind of stuff. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And in that time, I wrote 3 other books that, just were not getting picked up by this agent. So I had written, I had revised, I had pitched, I had done all of the things, and I was learning, how to do them for going forward.
Well, congratulations on. By what did was your dad still with us when you got your contract?
Yeah, he was.
And so was he? Did he have some crow to eat by chance?
I mean, I don't even remember his reaction. He was happy for me. But at the time it wasn't like life-changing money. So I couldn't be like, oh, you were wrong, Dad. Right? I was just like, well, I got a contract. So yeah.
Every moment in time has its place and stuff. So congratulations on all that you're doing and helping people to. So if somebody wants to contact you, Liz, to say, I know that I've got this story in me that is dying to get out, how do you help them?
Yeah, so a few ways. So I mentioned I have a class that I teach. So I created the Mindful Mystery Writers Masterclass last year, and I'm opening. It's in the middle of a launch right now, so I have the class starting next week. So people are actually signing up right now to start class next week. It's kind of like my own little back to school, because I do like back to school stuff. So I wanted to do my own version of back to school. So for anyone who thinks they want to write a mystery, or has an idea for a mystery that they've already started and aren't sure how to finish, I, in this class, walk them through how to create a writing practice first and foremost, because it's important to be able to sustain the writing once you start, and once you finish the class and you don't have community to support you anymore. And we, hopefully my goal is for people to come out of that with a really good outline for their book. And then if they're extremely motivated, some people end up writing at least some of the book during the class. So that's one way. And then I also have a membership for writers. So that's a monthly way to, be in my orbit. And we do a lot of co-writing. We do a lot of fun things like tarot and oracle and astrology stuff. We have deep dives into craft books as well. So some of my favorite craft books, like The Artist's Way. We talk about books like On Writing by Stephen King. So really immersing into both how to write, and then how to be in community, and how to be accountable to others as you get your work done.
As well as accountable to yourself.
Yes, of course.
Well, some people miss that part.
Yes. But sometimes it's easier to be, to have to tell someone else why you didn't do something than yourself,
Exactly. And by the way, tarot is a really cool thing. I use something that's a little bit different. They're called oracle cards. Are you familiar?
I love oracle cards. Yep, I do those too. I love Kyle Gray, actually. I'm reading his book, Vibrate. What's it called? Vibrate, the Vibrate Higher one. I can't remember the name of it.
I'm not sure. I did not know him until I found this, but I got to tell you, Liz, when I have a question that's on my heart and I do these cards, I always get the question, or get the answer that is paramount to the question.
Yeah, the cards know.
Yeah. I don't know how they do that. It's the same thing like in music. I will hear a song that'll come on the radio. Well, I'll give you an example. Are you familiar with Metallica?
Yeah.
They have a song called Nothing Else Matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a song that resonates deeply with me, primarily because forever trust in who you are and nothing else matters. Is because if you don't trust in who you are, nothing else matters. and stuff. So I have this in my car in a CD, and it's in my CD player. So sometimes I'll turn on my car and the CD player will start. Well, this time I wanted to listen to the radio, and I was thinking about that song, and I was thinking about what it means to me, and I listened to a classic. My son, who's in his mid-30s, was just devastated when Metallica hit the classic rock station. He's like, I can't believe that Metallica's there. And I said, well, the song was written in 1990.
Yeah.
So that's, that's 35 years ago and stuff. In any event. So I get in my car and the radio was set for this radio station. And I didn't want to play the CD. I was going to listen to that song later. And I turned on the car and guess what song was on the radio?
Nothing Else Matters.
From the very beginning, the first couple of chords. And it was like, well, I guess I was supposed to listen to that song. I don't know how they do it.
I know. It's like a sign from from somewhere, right?
Well, and I have a real quick story I'd love to tell you real quick.
Yeah.
I was in the parking lot of Safeway. And I was putting my groceries away, and a lady came up to me and said, sir, do you have a couple of dollars so that I can buy some bread so that we can eat something? And I thought to myself, well, she seems like a nice lady and asked politely and stuff. And so I decided to look in my wallet. Turns out I had three $20 bills. And rather than say, oh, I'm sorry, all I got is a 20, I gave her a 20. And she goes, oh, thank you. Now we can get cheese so we can have grilled cheese sandwiches. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I am, but for the grace of God, I don't have that issue, or I'm not there. So I feel always eternally grateful for that. So I get in the car. And I turn the radio on again, and Supertramp's "Give a Little Bit" was playing on the radio, and it was like I sat there for 5 minutes listening to the song, going, "Well, you're welcome, I guess." I don't, because to me that was like a phenomenal moment in time.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Although I do have to say I like the Goo Goo Dolls version of that song better because I love Goo Goo Dolls.
I don't. I probably would love that song too.
Yeah.
That they did. So, but I just and I'm doing a music show now in the morning on Brushwood Media Network, and one of the songs is "I Hope You Dance" by Leon Womack. And that song, when I was just about ready to start getting into radio in 2002, it was popular then. And every time I had a doubt or I had a question, maybe I should stay with my job, my wife will kill me for doing this, and which she ultimately left because of that. Anyway, and that song would come on the radio. So listen, if you're out there listening to "I Hope You Dance," and then live your life to the fullest. That's my advice.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I completely agree. Like I mentioned that my leadership roles are sort of in the past. I've been trying to make that transition out of the corporate lifestyle for a few years, and I started a consulting firm, so I'm still doing a little bit of it, but I'm really trying to lean into the things that I want to really do, which is write my books and focus on growing my coaching business. And so, yeah. You have to, because at some point you're going to wake up and realize that your whole life's behind you. And what did you do, right? Did you follow your heart or did you follow somebody else's heart?
And if you don't know, like my father did not know, he was an executive for Nordstrom for 30 years. And when he retired, he was no longer Mr. McDonald. He was just Jack. That was his first name. And Jack didn't know who he was. He'd spent so much time working 60 hours a week and raising kids and having a wife and all that. He never contemplated, what am I here to do? Why am I really here? And so I implore everyone, if you haven't asked the question yet, ask the question, why am I here and what am I here to do? What am I here to do to help humanity heal and to be of service to others? And I guarantee you will get an answer. You got an answer, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
And by the way, if you're listening to this on audio only, she's got the greatest big smile across her face because that's part of the story, isn't it?
It is. I mean, absolutely. And, it's funny because like I said, I got the answers in a few ways and for a few different things. So obviously, I know I'm meant to use my words in a way that helps people. And sometimes, it's easy to kind of fall into this like, well, I write mysteries. Am I really helping humanity? But then it's so funny, like you said, the signs that come. Because I remember one day I was having a particularly kind of day where I was grumpy about something related to my publishing journey. And I was like, does anybody even care? and I go to my email and I open it up and there's an email from a woman who said, I just wanted to say I love your books. My husband's been in the hospital and your book just kept me company while I was in here with him for the past week. And so thank you so much. And I was like, oh, well, there you go. Somebody does care.
It is amazing the impact, and that's why I say my job is to just create the best shows I can, and it's the universe's job to determine who listens and when.
Yeah.
And because that's what happens. When we need to take a real quick break, and I want you to listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, because I think we need a little bit more of this in our society right now, and you can actually contribute. And this is how. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk with with Kevin McDonald. Rochelle's off today, and it's Liz Conte, or maybe it's Cate Mugavero, the thing.
Answer to anything, so it's all good.
And please go to her website, which is cateconte.com, and you can find out all about her. You can sign up for her class. If you have a design that you want to be a writer, I could be the next Sherwood Sheldon or the next the Western writer I like so much. He's anyway. But you are one of those people that is, and you strike me as being very kind. That doesn't mean that you're perfect all the time, but I sense that you're a kind person.
I try. I'm definitely not perfect, but I try. I mean, I'm one of those people, and I think my parents didn't know what to do with me when I was a kid because I was very empathetic, highly sensitive, and my soft spot is animals, and I can't handle anything bad happening to animals. I will cry over a random dog that I see on the internet that got abandoned in a shelter or whatever. Like I just can't. I can't deal with it. So. Yes, I try to be kind to animals, humans, whoever. So,
Rochelle, who co-hosts on this show, she'll even pet a spider.
Yeah, well, I don't like spiders that much. I don't want to harm them, but I just don't want them to come into my house. I don't want to have to ask them to leave. So,
yes, we have an agreement.
She has a snake. She did. She was telling me something about snakes, wasn't she? Am I remembering that right? Okay. Yeah. That's another thing I don't do.
I don't do snake. That's why I live in Seattle. I don't do snakes, and I don't do big spiders and stuff like that. And I have an agreement with the spiders in my neighborhood. It's like, I don't want to kill you, and you don't want to be dead, so don't come here.
Yes, just put a little energetic boundary up. Like, don't come here.
That's right, and so far it's worked just fine.
I love it,
and stuff. Again, we're talking with I know what I was gonna say. I have an idea for you.
Okay.
You're a mystery writer, so you do a lot of research about mysteries and or things that make sense and don't make sense.
Mhm.
Have you thought about doing a podcast by a mystery writer about real life mysteries?
I have thought about, so I actually wrote a book that my main character was a podcast. So it was kind of a reinvention of a book. One of the books I wrote during my 10 years trying to get published, my lead character back then was a journalist. So I flipped it when I rewrote the book to make her a podcaster. And my agent kind of said that people are not, or that publishers, I should say, feel like they're overloaded with podcaster books right now, and so they're not going to be that interested. So I was kind of surprised by that because podcasting does seem to be still so big, right? But I don't know. I'm going to revisit it in the future. But yes, to answer your question, I love nosy podcasters getting involved in all kinds of things.
Oh, I love that title. The nosy mystery writer podcast.
Yeah, I like it.
And you're talking about, oh, by the way, if anybody uses this idea, you owe me $1 million. And what you talk about are real life mysteries from the standpoint of being a mystery writer
Yeah.
and stuff. I'd listen to you.
Yeah, same. Thank you. Thank you for the idea. I'll definitely share the profits if I get it up and running.
Well, and we can help you get it up and running too.
Okay.
So, but that's we're a one-stop shop, all of us here. And but that you are really gifted at what you do, and you help people, and you also have a little bit of a spiritual bent to you.
I do. I told you I like the tarot and the oracles. I'm trying to learn
Yes.
astrology so I can be better at that too. But I like all of those things. I've always been very woo-woo.
Have you looked at what do they call it? I forgot, but it's a newer science that is out there, and it's about your chemistry based on your birth date and stuff, and it's gosh, I
Like
can't
human
remember what they
design.
call
You
it.
mean human design?
That's it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have said that. I would have sounded so much smarter had I not fumbled around with that, and then the guest comes up with it without having, it's like, don't you know what you're talking about, dude? Apparently not.
No, there's so many things out there.
Human design.
Yeah.
Have you had yours done?
No, I've dabbled in it because I took another class. It was like a business course, but she used a little bit of human design principles in it. So I've dabbled, but it's something that's on my list.
They told me, I had somebody do my chart. They told me at the end of that, after they reviewed it and everything, they said, do you know that you're doing exactly what you're designed to do?
Oh, that's awesome.
And I said, well, that's because before I was even born, this was a contract that I signed, and I've had the life experience that has given me the ideals and the thoughts that I can then do this.
Yeah.
And that's why I do this and stuff. So, but as it turns out, the human design corroborated what I thought.
That's very cool. Yeah, I've definitely got to get mine done.
Yes, and what you know what you're going to find, that you are a master communicator and you are a master storyteller. I'll bet you.
Probably. Probably right.
And also a master teacher.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm still building that muscle up. So.
Well, and if like we talked about earlier, if somebody wants to work with you, they can go to the website, and which is again cateconte.com. That's CONTE.com, and you can sign up for the class, and you can have. And what I really like about it is that writing is a solitary profession unless you have got a community of fellow solo solitary people getting together to talk about their solitude and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, community is so important. We spend so much time alone at our desks with voices in our heads. It's the only profession where it's allowable to have voices in your heads and nobody's, worried about you. Well, maybe some people are. But to get together with other writers and to be able to have in the mystery field, it's kind of a running joke where, a bunch of mystery writers go out to dinner and the waitresses and waiters and servers are all afraid to come to our table because, they'll overhear things like, so which shovel did you use to, bash that person over the head with? And how deep did you have to bury that body? And they're all afraid to come near us.
Well, you're just using the trade secrets to
Yes.
help each other learn how it all works. I have a real quick story, and tell me if this resonates with you, because I suspect that this happens to you all the time. There was an orthodontist in Canada, and she had a unique childhood and stuff that she thought would make a good book. But she never wrote it because she was an orthodontist and she spent a lot of time fixing teeth.
Yeah.
And one day she woke up at 4:00 in the morning to a voice that said, "Start writing the book." And she got out of bed, put her robe on, and went and looked around the house because she swore there was somebody there, but there was nobody there. So apparently, because she's an orthodontist, she makes a good amount of money so she called her therapist at 4:00 in the morning, and the therapist actually called back like right away. It's like, this is a $300 an hour client. I better call her back right now. And she said, well, because she said, I think I'm getting schizophrenic because I'm hearing voices. And what the voice say was the response. And she said, start writing. And she said, did you? Well, I haven't yet. And she said, well, start writing now. So she grabbed a candle and a pad and paper, and she sat down. It was about 4:20 at this point, and she started writing. And she wrote till 5:00, and then it stopped. And so she put it down and went about her day and went to work and came back. And the next day, she had another voice in her head at 4:00 in the morning again, said, start writing. So she gets out of bed at 4:00 in the morning and starts writing again. She does this for 18 months, ends up with 4 books in a not a trilogy, but a quad something or other, and and is in the process of publishing them.
That's awesome.
Because it was beyond her own voice.
Yeah.
It was a message that she was receiving, just like a musician gets and stuff. Has that ever happened to you?
I mean, I don't know if I've gotten the direct, really loud voice like that, but once I really started paying attention to my intuition and, to the things that you could call it a voice, I guess, or you could call it just a feeling. I kind of call it a feeling, but the feeling that you're on the right path, that you got to, move to this thing, or, you got to focus on this instead. That's definitely happened to me.
And it happens to all kinds of folks. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is let it be, and which is the Beatles song, Let It Be. And a lot of people don't recognize the fact that in the song, Mother Mary is Paul McCartney's mother, who passed away at 14. And he was having a lot of trouble with the Beatles and a lot of stuff like that. And he went to bed, and his mother came to him, and he writes this in the lyrics. My mother, Mary, came to me, and she said, let it be. And that became one of their bestsellers of all time. So those things do happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I believe in all of it.
And Liz, I'm sad that we've run out of time. I could talk to you all day. You're just delightful, by the way.
Thank you so much. I feel the same way.
Well, what? You're delightful? I'm glad that. And before we go, I would love for you to tell our audience anything you'd like them to know.
Just come check out my website. Check out I'm on social media. I'm also on Substack. I'm doing some writing over on Substack as well. And yeah, if you're interested in mysteries and if you love the woo, come talk to me about my membership, because we have a lot of fun. And we do a lot of tarot.
And I gotta tell you, it is a remarkable thing when I'm sold on these cards. I tell you, whenever I have a quandary that I can't resolve, they'll either confirm what I'm thinking or tell me that what I'm thinking is crap and I need to rethink it.
I love it.
So, Liz, and your last name?
Mugavero.
And Mugavero and Cate Conte, they're the same person, and they've got 2 different series that go out there. Go to her website, which is cateconte.com, and you can take a course from her. And you can learn how to do your own writing. And she also, and we haven't talked about it, you're going to have to come back and we'll talk about the art of working with publishers, editors, and other folks so that you can get the work that you want to get done.
Yes, 100%. I'd love to.
And so thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Did you enjoy the show?
I loved it. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here, Liz. And I hope everybody has an awesome day. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.